You know, it's not every day that I get to review a 3D platformer, let alone a 3D platformer that uses Unreal Engine 4. But on our long wait for the imminent release of Yooka-Laylee, the Nintendo Switch has gotten a very colorful, very unique puzzle platformer that has you playing as a snake. With a lot of physics in mind, let's not go too deep into detail yet. Here's my review of the Nintendo Switch version of Sumo Digital's new platformer, Snake Pass. The story of Snake Pass takes place on a group of islands high up above the clouds. All of these islands are connected to each other and the rest of the world by magical gates that require 3 ancient keys to run. When all of the gates start shutting down and the keys disappearing, Noodle the ground snake and his companion hummingbird, Doodle, set out on a journey to go through each island, recover the keys, and reactivate the gates so they do not become permanently trapped and cut off from the rest of the world. Now, there's one thing I really love about the story of Snake Pass. It has that colorful, cutesy, charming feel that a bunch of those old 3D platformers had, like Mario 64, Banjo-Kazooie, that era. It's very charming, it's very cute and casual, just like the rest of the game. Snake Pass is a 3D platforming puzzle game with physics elements thrown into the mix. That's a mouthful, but basically it's a puzzle game, and to solve each puzzle you have to do 3D platforming, and there are a lot of physics elements involved in that 3D platforming. So 3D platformer, puzzle game, physics game, all thrown together. Now, the main gist of the game is you enter a level, there's a gate that requires 3 color-coded keys to open. Your task is to then survey the level, find where the keys are, find a way to get up to the keys, and then retrieve them, bring them back to the gate, and head on to the next level. Now, it sounds simple enough. 3D platforming, find keys, and you're done. But how you do the platforming is what makes this game so unique and so interesting. You play as a snake, so you can't just walk and jump up all of these 3D platforms. You have to, as the developers like to say, think like a snake. Even just pushing forward on the analog stick won't move you anywhere. You have to slither around to gain any movement. Lift your head up if you want to try going up some stairs or small platforms. And you literally wrap yourself around thin pole-like platforms so you could stick to them and kind of climb your way up. The whole thing about the game is that the physics engine and how you do all this platforming really makes you kind of toss out what you thought you knew about 3D platformers and learn from scratch with this new way of controlling a snake. And we've got a little Banjo-Kazooie thrown in as well, because not only are you playing as a snake, but your hummingbird friend can help you. When you're climbing up, going through intricate platforming areas, you're a snake, so you have a very long body. If you pop your head up on a platform, but the majority of your tail is off the platform, it's going to weigh you down and yank you right off that platform and make you fall. That's what your hummingbird companion is for. Doodle can hold up the back end of your tail, so if you come up on one of those platforms, you only make it with your head and part of your neck on the platform. Hit the Y button, get Doodle to hold up the back end of your tail, and he can help you up to a platform you would otherwise fall right off of. But that also means that when he is holding up your tail, you have that less of body to wrap around climbable platforms. So it's a big strategy of what is good for this specific situation. Now, as far as how in-depth the game is, there are 4 sets of levels, and each level set kind of adds an element. The first 4 levels, you're just learning how the game works. The second world adds switches to pull and underwater sections to explore. The third world adds more moving platforms, more hazards for you to try to avoid. And then the final world kind of throws it all together and kind of tests your skill. Now, as Everybody who watched my stream of this game from yesterday knows it looks like a very casual, very charming little platformer, and for most of the game it is. The final level, level 15, is the only exception to the rule. Now, as I said just a moment ago, I said level 15 is the final level. There are only 15 levels in the game. Granted, there are collectibles in each stage, so if you want, you can collect the keys and go to the next level, or collect the keys and then go get collectibles and then go to the next level. But with playtime in mind, for the first couple worlds, all of the stages are probably only going to take you about 5 minutes, even your first try. Second half of the game is quite a bit longer. I would say the second half ups the average to about 10 minutes per level. But still, that is an overall playtime of the entire game of only about 2 or 3 hours. Because when I did my stream yesterday, I went through half of the game in 1 hour. So unless you're a completionist and you want to 100% everything, this game is $20 for 2 to 3 hours of gameplay. So if you're not sure if you want to buy the game, just think about that for a moment on whether or not you want to buy it now or you want to wait until a sale further down the road. Now, there's only one thing I'm going to say about controls. That is the Y button, which calls your hummingbird pal to hold up your tail. For most platforming sections of the game, you only have to hit this button once and he immediately goes down and grabs your tail. So if you're coming up onto a platform, you can tell you're already starting to fall off and you're going to die. Quickly tap the Y button, grabs the tail, and saves you from restarting at a checkpoint. But in some areas, he will land on an objective where you're supposed to go. And in this situation, when you're going, you're about to fall off, you hit the Y button, and he just starts hovering up in front of you. You try it again, the same thing happens again. You have to hit it twice for those sections. So that's something I really didn't like about the game. Okay, you only have to hit it once. Except in certain situations where you have to actually hit it twice. Now let's talk presentation. Visually, in docked mode, the game looks great. There's a huge amount of detail. Everything is incredibly colorful. And in the few sections where the camera can be zoomed in really close to Noodle, you can see a ton of detail, even down to the individual scales on his body. The only problem with visual presentation is when you put it into handheld mode. The visuals look surprisingly blurred out when you're in tabletop mode or in handheld mode. Some people are speculating this to be a resolution problem, and there are probably half a dozen other fan theories about it. But the thing is, it looks really blurry, mostly around Noodle's body itself. And that's something that's turned off some people who've wanted to play the game in handheld mode. Now this doesn't affect your gameplay, it just affects how pretty the game looks. Environments look fine when you're in handheld mode, it's just the character models. Now finally, the battery life section of this game. When I heard that Snake Pass ran on Unreal Engine 4, I wondered how much battery life we would actually be able to get out of the game. And as I expected, it uses up a lot. So from 100% all the way down to 0% when the system will die on you, Snake Pass will get you the following. On full brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 2 hours, 46 minutes. Full brightness with the Wi-Fi off, you'll get about 3 hours. Low brightness with the Wi-Fi on, about 3 hours and 28 minutes. And with low brightness and the Wi-Fi off, 3 hours and 36 minutes. This is only a slight amount more battery than you would get with Zelda Breath of the Wild. So, this is a couple things. First of all, you're not going to get that much battery life out of Snake Pass. And second of all, is this going to be the norm for 3D games? Because the games I have reviewed that have a lot of battery life aren't incredibly graphics heavy. I Am Setsuna and The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth Plus. And the two that are, Zelda Breath of the Wild and Snake Pass, both don't get very much. But that's a discussion for another day. Basically, the battery is going to last about 2.5 to 3.5 hours while you're playing Snake Pass. In conclusion, Snake Pass is a very unique and really charming platform puzzler from the way it looks, the way it sounds, and really the way it plays. Although it is flawed in the hummingbird button options, the blurry visuals when you're in handheld mode, and a remarkably short campaign. But it's definitely still worth grabbing if you want a colorful little platformer while you wait for the inevitable release of Yooka-Laylee. Reviews to Go rates Snake Pass a 7 out of 10. If you'd like to comment on this further, feel free to below or head to the website at www.reviewstogo.com.